All right, if you're watching this video now, you must be on your epic quest. You must be ready to push the very bounds of human performance. Yes, we're talking about your 8 weeks to peak. And one of the things that I do as a coach is it's not so much about the racing anymore. It's really about the experimenting. And so I'm always experimenting with, different types of plans, different avenues, different places to go. And I just finished a a really intense 2 month block. Typically, these 2 month blocks building up to an A event are called 8 weeks to peak, something like that. 2 months of just a very strenuous build. And I have a lot of observations about this. A lot of you do this. Some of you do this twice a year. So if you have two big events, like one in the spring, one in the fall, you do like a really intense 2 month block before that A event in the spring, another really intense 2 month block before your event in the fall. And so it's all about peaking. It's all about wringing, every little piece of nook and cranny that we can get out of the human body. It's all about sharpening your blade as much as possible. So let's go through here and let's talk about what does a 8 weeks to peak look like. So first of all, this is your performance manager. And this is basically your fitness and training peaks. We want to pull this up. So this purple line shows that this is us digging deep. Like, this is a workout every day. This is us digging deep. Our fitness comes up, our freshness goes down, okay? I did this for this 2 months. This is basically a 2 month period here. And so this was a 4 weeks right here where I drove. So normally you would do like a 3 weeks, then take a week off, where I really drove it for 4 weeks, then took a week off right here, game fish. Then I'm digging deep again. I'm at the very end of this 2 months. I'm about to begin my taper. And so I'm digging deep once again. And so that is the whole idea of this. It's about working towards the specificity of your event and digging really deep and then relaxing. Digging deep, relaxing, repeat. All right. But there's a lot to think about when it comes to this. Key demands for these 8 weeks to peak plans, programs. The specificity drives your demands, and I can't stress that enough. So a 8 weeks to peak for a cyclocross racer is going to look different from an 8 weeks to peak from a crit racer to a Grand Fondo specialist to someone who has a 100-mile road stage to someone who has a 45-minute road race, like amateur nationals or something like that. So always keep in mind, the specificity defines that last 2 months before your A event. Typically, these are threshold VO2 max efforts. That's what I'm doing now. So typically, so I'm a big century guy. I love the 100-mile road race. And typically your first month is going to be, FTP, really extension work, trying to extend your FTP, your time at tempo, your time at zone 2, your endurance, to extend all of those out, make them longer, pull them out. So you're going to do a lot of threshold VO2 max. You're going to do a lot of tempo, a lot of sweet spot, and a lot of aerobic endurance. And again, the idea, especially for me right now, is to pull those out, to make my time to exhaustion, if you will, to extend my threshold, to give me the ability to do my threshold for longer periods of time. Same with tempo, and we're really pulling all of this up with some VO2 max efforts, okay? Now, again, we are pushing the very limits of human performance in an 8 weeks to peak plan. So the biggest thing that I always say for this, and when you're going into a really intensive 2 month block, is to prepare. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Legendary coach John Wooden. You can't say that enough. preparation is absolutely crucial. And here's a quick checklist that I have for this preparation. And you know, the most important thing is that you have to take these 2 months very seriously, right? Because in these 2 months, you have to take them seriously because we're moving from balance to imbalance in our lives, right? So if we just have balance, that's not how to dig deep. That's not how to push yourself to the very edge of human performance. That's not how to reach a peak. We are moving from balance to imbalance, extreme imbalance. For 2 months, we are all in. Here's a few suggestions. First of all, tell your family, communicate. I can't stress this enough. You know, you're basically gonna be selfish for 2 months, right? And so it doesn't mean you're mean, it doesn't mean you're angry, but you're really going to be focusing on these 2 months. And so you have to communicate that to your family, your parents, your wife, brothers, siblings, friends, whatever. Just say like, hey, I'm going to be quiet for these next 2 months because I am on my epic quest, right? Tell them that, your epic quest. Clear your schedules, right? If you have weekly soccer games, things like that, clear your schedule as much as possible. Take your meetings off your plate, everything. Make sure that you don't have stressors like doctor's appointments, things like this. Get it all off the plate. Make sure that when you're looking at that 2 months, you are looking at a clear horizon line. Get that bike ready. You know, this is very important, right? So you are going to be doing, 200-300 miles a week, depending on what your fitness is, but you could be doing 200 to 300 miles a week. That's going to wear your parts down. Make sure you have replaced the parts that need to be replaced, your cassette, your chain, your tires. And order backups. Order backups for everything. Just have backups for everything. If you got to buy a new bike for these 2 months, buy a new bike. But you can't have any problems, right? So these 2 months have to be free. You cannot have problems, right? It's about nailing the work. You're not missing work. There's no option to miss work. You're nailing it. You're getting it done. So if you got to buy another bike, buy another bike. Off the bike, nutrition, eat. During these 2 months, there's these next two things. Nutrition, it's hard, right? So you're digging deep. You're doing 3-hour rides on a Wednesday. And you've got to eat. You've got to eat. You got to increase your carb intake during the day. You've got to increase your carb intake on the bike. You got to get your protein for the day. So you have to eat. If you get behind on that, you're done. And this is where preparation is key. Personally, I love to do a huge crock pot on the weekends, package that all up. I love to have it all ready in the refrigerator because if I get home from a 3.5, 4-hour ride, and then on a Wednesday morning, from which I got up at 4 a.m. to get some calories, go do my ride from 6 to 10, and then have to work for the rest of the day, I'm already behind the ball. It's really hard to get that nutrition that you need. So you have to get it. You have to prepare it, plain and simple. I do anyway. I don't have anybody fixing me meals or anything like that. Make sure you have all your gels. Make sure you have all your drink mix. Make sure you have all of it, right? Just make sure that you prepare, get it done. Oh, wow. Hydration. This is a big one for me. So, every night I prepare, I take 4 of these, I fill them up, I put my electrolytes in there, put them in the refrigerator for the next day. And then my water bottles are, right now my water bottles for today's ride, they're in the freezer right now. They're filled with ice cubes and, I'm ready to go. So I prepare as much as possible. Prepare my water bottles the night before, right? Everything that I can do to make my life easier through preparation, I do, including hydration. New routes, group rides, adventure. So this is a big thing where I kind of dropped the ball on this. I got tired of these roads, right? I did not do enough adventure. I didn't go. We got great group rides all around me. I did not jump on a group ride. I didn't explore any new roads, adventure, like on a weekend or anything like that. And that's going to be crucial because motivation, once you're digging this deep, your first week, second week, you're fine. Your fourth, your fifth, your sixth week, you're getting pretty miserable and you're tired of looking at the same roads. So you got to get out there. You got to find new roads. You got to do some group rides. You got to rely on your team to help you, right? Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So rely on that team. Recovery sleep. Can't stress this enough. Recovery sleep. You're going to be spending more time in recovery mode, more time maybe laying on the couch, binging TV. But sleep during this time period. I'm a really good guy getting 8 hours of quality sleep a night now. And used to not always be that case. I used to be like at 3.5 hours, 4 hours. Now I'm a really solid 8. Try to get 9, right? You might be in bed for 10 hours a day. If you have to get up at 4 a.m., you might be in bed at 7 p.m., but do it. It's going to make all the difference. Have no problem. Have no fear. Your friends might be making fun of you. Your family might be making fun of you. Your wife, your spouse, your significant other might be making fun of you. But if you have to go to bed at 7 or even 6, do it. Get that sleep. Sleep is absolutely crucial. And then lastly, know your pitfalls. What's going to happen? Okay, so I know that when I dig deep for these periods, for these 2-month periods, right? And so I'm on my second peak of the year. I know that when I dig deep, when I start doing 200, 300 miles, when I start doing 15, 16, 17 hours a week on the bike, I know that I'm going to get post-exercise hypotension. Basically, that means I develop really low blood pressure in the evenings. And so I'm perfect on the bike, perfect in the mornings. Get back from my ride, I'm perfect, no problems. But 3 to 4 hours later, I know that my blood pressure is going to start to drop. And if I'm laying down on the couch and I stand up too fast, I'm going to get faint. Extremely faint. And this is where athletes will get into trouble. You'll see athletes with black eyes, crushed faces because they stood up too quick and they've actually blacked out and collapsed for a brief second. Post-exercise hypotension is very real. And so in terms of my pitfalls, that's one of my biggest pitfalls. Another pitfall is you get tired, right? And when I get tired, I will sort of trend toward melancholy a little bit. I'm normally a really happy guy, but I'll start thinking about things. And so, for this time around, this peak, I've really been thinking about obesity. And I'm just getting so down and depressed. I mean, not depressed, that's an exaggeration, but I just start to tend to think about the obesity and put that on my shoulders and my plate as if I'm responsible for the world's obesity problems. And I just think about it and I feel too bad. I become too emotionally attached with those who suffer this problem and who are fighting with every tooth and nail to get rid of that problem. And so that's sort of what I'm thinking about now, but I will go down that dark path. And so you just have to realize that. Oh, and then the greatest pitfall that everybody faces, they don't want to get on the bike. They want to throw the bike, throw it away. You really, the pain of regret is worse than the pain of suffering, the pain of fatigue, right? So go out there, have great discipline, get it done, and just know that everybody wants to throw their bike in the garage and never ride it again during this 2-month build, this 2-month peak period, right? It's intense. You are going harder than you've ever gone before. You are pushing the very bounds of human performance. You are on your epic quest, right? So get out there. Let's nail it. If you have any questions, go ahead. Send me an email, lee@pro13.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube. Again, get out there, get it done. Take care.